page, and I'm going to be discussing on this YouTube account narcissistic abuse. I just recently got out of a very, very abusive relationship with a narcissist. I think that it's therapeutic to talk about it with others, and it's also very helpful to others because it seems like it's an epidemic now, guys, right? Like a lot of people are suffering from narcissistic abuse these days, or at least someone brought attention to it, and now we know what we're dealing with. So, unfortunately for me, and fortunately at the same time, I have a new baby with a narcissist. But I wanted to go down memory lane about the relationship and how everything ended up where it is now. So, we're going to get into it. I want everyone to be wary of these social sites and the dating sites, especially. I was in a very lonely, desperate part of my life, self esteem all the way down here. I was very, like, in a really weak place. And I decided to make a Plenty of Fish account, POF, as you guys may know it. Now, the reviews on there, when it was too late, I found that a lot of people were meeting narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths off of these sites. It's like a playground to them, because on the internet you can be who you want to be. You can lure people in. It's very easy to meet people like these off of this site. So, I'm on POF for a month or two by this point. Nothing really worked out. Went on a few dates. No one really worked out. And I finally met this guy. His name is Sean. Um, and he came over my house one night. Never left after that, really. We just clicked. Everything was beautiful at first. We're just in the bed, chilling, watching TV days on end. I'm cooking, cleaning, being domesticated, things like that. Because I really, really wanted love at this point, and I really wanted a boyfriend. So we kicked it for 5 days. There were a few little tiny red flags there. Nothing too serious at the time, but definitely red flags that I should have paid attention to and that I wish I would have paid attention to. So the first red flag, one day we're going to Walmart and I ask him, are you single, or do you have any situations going on? And he tells me, well, there's a girl that I talk to. She's like my best friend. She flies out to see me. She's a flight attendant. So whenever she flies out to see me, I'm going to go see her. So I'm like, you expect me to deal with that? Hey, I'm not saying you have to deal with it. It just is what it is. So at this point, we're still both single, and I'm like, let's just give it a try. Maybe that situation will come to an end if we get closer. So everything was good up until one day, and I noticed another red flag. He kept getting calls from a girl that he refers to as Sweet Butt. So I kept seeing these calls pop up maybe once a day while he was at my house. And one day she was calling when I was about to cook dinner. So I seen her name pop up on the phone. I told him, I'm going to go ahead and let you take that. I'm going to go and cook dinner. Come downstairs. I cooked dinner. 10 minutes later, he's dressed. We weren't dressed this whole week. We were just in the house lounging around. He's dressed head to toe. I'm like, why are you dressed? We were just about to eat and watch a movie. Yeah, I have to go. I have to get my clothes washed and stuff like that because I start this job in 2 days, blah, 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 blah. So immediately my woman's intuition starts screaming at me like, dude, this girl just called, okay? Now he's leaving, okay? But my self-esteem and my heart at the time could not take the lie that he was telling me. He was really telling me, like, I'm going to my cousin's house. Um, you know, and I got to get stuff prepared for this new job that I'm starting. And I believed him, even though all of the signs were there, was that he was lying to me. So he did call me that night a few hours after he left. And I was asleep, so I didn't answer the phone. So the next day I texted him, I called him a few times, no answer. Day after that, same thing. No answer. He just up and ghosted me. So I'm like, yeah, my first thought was right. He just, he just disappeared on me with that girl. So the third day, I cried about it. My feelings were really hurt because I really liked this guy. And I just went shopping and went on about my day. I came home with one of my best friends at the time, and we're talking about it. And she's like, well, you should just give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was sick. Maybe, something else is going on. I'm like, no, I believe he was with that girl. So, not even an hour later after we got home, he calls me, and a small argument ensues because I'm angry because he just disappeared on me. My friend grabbed the phone and talked to him instead because she knew I was highly emotional and highly upset about the situation. So they talked or whatever, and he's like, yeah, I really do like her. I wouldn't have stayed at her house for a whole week if I didn't. Blase, blase, blah. So we made plans to link up later on that night. So me being dumb, and that's as plain and as blunt as I could put it, it was just dumb. All of the signs were there, but because I was so desperate and so lonely, I accepted whatever bones he was throwing at me. So he came back, and everything was cool that night. And then the next day he goes to work. I'm all happy, jolly, because when you're in the love bombing phase with a narcissist, it's amazing. Everything is just peachy cream and suns and flowers and all of that stuff. When you first get into a relationship with these people, it's amazing. So I'm all happy. I invite some friends over to hang out while he's at work. And, I'm showing him off, bragging about him, blah, blah, blah. But my mother, she's never wrong. I showed her a video of him or something like that. And she was like, well, Britt, I'm worried, Something about this situation just does not sit right with me. And I'm like, Mom, just cool out. In my head, I'm like, wow, why can't I ever be happy? Like, why does someone always have something to say? It's always some negative stuff going on, blah, blah, blah. But she sensed something for a reason. And guys, when you get older, you realize that your mama knows best. She's not going to lie to you. She senses when things aren't right or aren't going right. So, he comes over later that night. I had ordered pizza. I had my brother and my kids. I'm a mother of three, by the way. Um, and he comes in with an attitude. And I'm like, well, what is wrong with you? And he's like, I don't appreciate how you were talking about me on Facebook. I'm like, dude. So I went back, scrolled down my phone. I'm looking for stuff, looking at all the posts that I had made on this particular day. Nothing at all was negative about this man. I was actually happy about him. So none of my posts pertained to him at all. He was just trying to start drama like they usually do. They're bored people. So it always has to be drama. They're deeply miserable. Anything can be considered as criticism or a slight to them. And none of my posts were about this man. So that's the first thing that I noticed when he kind of started to, you know, his mask started to slip pretty fast. Mind you, we're in our second week at this point. So his mask really, really started to slip quickly. So then I start listening to my music because I see that he has an attitude. What does he do? Oh, you listen to elevator music and blase, blase, blah, just throwing little jabs, throwing little insults for no reason at all. I had done nothing to this guy. I'm feeding you. He was broke as shit, so I'm taking care of you, supplying weed and everything else for this dude. And he's really insulting me for what? Because narcissists are deeply miserable people and their crazy mood swings just could come out of nowhere. You don't have to do anything at all. You don't have to do anything wrong. They just flip and flip and flip. And it's just, it's mind boggling how someone can be that disordered and that out of place every day. So, time goes on, and everything's good. There are some ups and downs. I noticed that he really got off on getting a reaction out of me. He would do things on purpose that I wouldn't like or things that would make me jealous or uncomfortable to get a reaction out of me. And it's funny how much they're like kids because they will just do something to you and sit back and look and wait on your reaction, and it's just it, they're grown up 3 year olds. Like they're really a 3 year old walking in an adult's body. It's ridiculous. Like this man needed to be housed and he needed to be fed and he needed a woman to financially take care of him. His drug habits, his car note, gas in the car, food. He couldn't do anything by himself for himself. He could not do anything for himself. It was like raising another child, you know. Um, it was just a lot. And so in the beginning, it was kind of fun. It was kind of exciting. Excuse me. It was pretty exciting. And, but there were bad times. There was a morning, he had to go to work in a few hours, but he had slept through the night and everything. We're adults, so I wanted to be intimate with him. He snaps the hell out for no reason. Oh, I'm not going to keep dealing with this shit. And I'm like, what? Like, So he hops up out of the bed, storms out of the house, starts making very disrespectful Facebook posts about me. And they start slandering you early because they're so fake, just fake, phony ass people. Like, they'll tell you you're so beautiful and you're this and you're that in your face while slandering you behind your back. So this was actually the first day that he showed signs of abuse, that eventually got ignored and overlooked. So I wanted to be intimate with him that morning. He cops an attitude, which seems like for no reason at all. And he storms out of the house. He posts about me on Facebook. I call him and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, I didn't do anything wrong to you. What is your problem? And he's like, no, that post is about the other girl, the sweet butt girl that he was talking to on the phone that flew out to see him. Yeah, her. Um, and I'm like, that's bullshit. It's funny how me and you just got into an argument and now you're making disrespectful posts on Facebook about me. So he comes back to my house. I'm crying because my feelings were hurt. At the time, I didn't know this until I started snooping through phones, which comes later on down the line. He was recording me crying to him so that he could go back and show his friends. Oh, so he could say, oh, this broad here, she's going off of me. I got her crying. You know how dudes do. They go back to their friends, start bragging about how this female is so hurt and just so over the top about him. I was crying because my feelings were hurt because he snapped out on me for no reason. Yet he's on the sly, and I did not know this at the time, recording me. You have to know that I was through the roof angry when I found out that he recorded me. Like they do little snake stuff. And for no reason, my heart was in the right place when I met this guy. My intentions were good. His were not. He would record me without my knowledge. He would take jacked up pictures of me when I first woke up in the morning. You know how you have crust in your eyes or, things like that, just to use that against me later. And so you have to look out for the red flags of a narcissist. Now, the red flags with him, he was already broke when I met him. So, of course, I'm fronting the bill on everything. I'm paying for everything. This man never paid a dime. That's my fault for being weak and desperate. Um, that's my fault. I should have never spent all my money on a man. And ladies out there, never do that. If he can't bring anything to the table, do not deal with him. We're grown. We don't have time to take care of grown ass boys. We just don't have that to do. So, first red flag, I'm paying for everything, number one. Number two, the sweet butt girl keeps calling every day. And he told me about her off the rip. Someone flies out to see me. He tried to make it seem like it was a friendship. And whenever she comes to see me, I'm going to see her. And then, okay, so we're on the first time he abused me. So after he recorded me, I had just ordered some TVs from Amazon and I needed his help setting them up. He's acting like he doesn't want to help me. He still has an attitude, things like that. So he leaves for work. My friend comes over, one of my best female friends. And I'm like, girl, he's just being a jerk. I don't know what I did wrong. Like, I didn't do anything. I just tried to be intimate with him this morning before he went to work. Most men like that. Most men would appreciate that. He snaps out on me, storms out, comes back, records me, and then leaves for work with an attitude. So, not even 10 minutes later, while I'm talking to my friend about what's going on, he texts my phone like, I left my charger there. Can you leave it by the door so I could just come and go when I get it? Just being an asshole for no reason at all. So I'm like, okay. First, I text back and I said, okay. And he said, thank you. And I'm like, this dude is really being an asshole because he knew that I wanted him to come back that night, stay the night with me again. And he really had no reason to act how he was acting. But I'm like, okay, yep. And then I thought about it. I'm like, no, he's not going to do this. This is bullshit. So I text him. I was like, you know what? Since you're coming and leaving, I'll just leave your charger out in my mailbox and you can get it from there and go. The narcissism. Horns start showing. He's like, you bitch. And, I can never mess with a bitch like you. And with your lazy eye, because I do have strabismus. My eye is lazy sometimes. Haha, kind of funny. But it's something that I was born with. I can't help that. So, he's like, yeah, with your lazy fucking eye. And all of these text messages he's sending, just snapping out on me. All because I said I was going to leave his charger in the mailbox. If you're coming and going, why would you need to come in my house anyway? Get your stuff outside. So he snaps out on me. Seconds later, he's apologizing. And every 2 minutes, I'm getting ding, ding, ding on my phone, a bunch of begging text messages. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. I need to talk to you. Blah, blah, blah.